welcome to Kermie and the Angels. My name is Kermie Wohlenhaus, and welcome. And the angels are everywhere. It's so great. Tonight we have a very special guest. I'm so excited. It's Susie Cox. She's the master astrologer. She's read over 46,000 astrological charts. That's a lot of charts.
That's a lot.
Oh my gosh. And you are she's in the Hall of Fame, the Astrological Hall of Fame, and she has written 4 books. And she has a newly released one that I'm really excited about, and we might talk about it a little bit later. It's called Susie's Sun Signs.
Love Signs.
Love Signs.
Is my most recent one.
And you had Susie's Sun Signs as well.
A couple of years ago. My recent one is Susie's Love Signs.
So now you're the love astrologer.
Well, people said, now I know who I am with Susie's Sun Signs. How do I get along with other people? So I wanted to kind of bring the compatibility together, which I'm really happy with the book. I think it's good.
And how many combinations of signs are there?
78 combinations.
78
Aries, 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 Taurus, Aries, Gemini, Aries, Cancer, 78.
78.
Yeah.
And are there some that are not compatible?
My premise in my book is all the signs can be compatible with all the other signs. Because I know there are people that have been married for 50 years with a combination of all the signs. Classic astrology is Scorpios don't get along with Aries. Poor Scorpios, they don't get along with anybody. So I knew that that wasn't right.
That's right.
So I figured out how all the signs could get along with each other. And what I did is I said the best of and the worst. So the best, how these signs are compatible, and the worst of how they're compatible. Both of them could happen. So Aries and Aries, if they're both athletes, they're running with each other and they're great. If they're being their negative Aries, they can be competitive or they can be angry. So it can be not a real comfortable combination. So really, I think all the signs can get along or not if they're in their positive state of mind. They'll get along with everybody.
And that pretty much is the case. If you're in your positive aspect of your sign, then it's every relationship.
You're not going to push anybody's buttons.
Right.
You're going to get along with all the signs. So that's really the trick. And it was also my intention of having people, striving to be more positive. If they want to have a good relationship, be the positive best part of you, and you'll get along with other people. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
welcome. That's good to know. Right away, we want to get that on the table. That's available by ebooks, isn't it?
Amazon.com, yeah.
Okay.
It's just a Kindle, so you can just download it as an ebook, yeah.
Okay, great. And Susie's, your website is?
SusieCox.com.
SusieCox.com.
Easy one.
C-O-X.
C-O-X, right.
Susie Cox, that's so great.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful website, too, and it's very easy to navigate, and you have all kinds of information. You have astrocartography, you've got lots of different things.
And when people sign up for my newsletter or my email or an email list, they automatically get lots of information, like a free download of. I did a paragraph for all planet sign, houses, angles, aspects, eclipses. So there's a lot of information that people have if they just sign up for free.
That's really nice because so many times you just don't know and you want to know and you want it quick and you can just go to your website and kind of
I'm an educational astrologer. I like to teach people. So I like to have it fun and easy, but I wanted to get the information out. Yeah.
That's great. Well, tonight we're going to do 2015 astrological events, and this is so exciting. I love this part. So this is the astrology for 2015. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to go
This is
through.
what we're going to be talking about tonight. Mercury and Venus are going to be retrograding this year. Mercury retrogrades quite often, 3 times a year or 3 weeks each time, but Venus only retrogrades once every year and a half. So we're going to talk about those, look at the eclipses for this year, look at the Chinese astrology that's coming up, and then some of the planetary alignments that are going to be happening through the year. Okay, great.
Yeah. So let's start with the Mercury retrogrades. Okay, tell us a little bit about what Mercury retrograde is.
Mercury retrograde actually is called relative velocity. It's a difference in speeds of 2 bodies. In this case, it's planets. So for example, here's the Earth and here's Mars. The Earth is on an inner track, so it goes faster. So as the Earth goes past Mars, it looks like Mars is going backwards. God's eye view, we're both going in the same direction, only different speeds. It's like from the fast train, it looks like the slow train's going backwards. Optical illusion from the perspective of Earth. But what happens is that for 3 weeks, depending on what sign it's in Aquarius right now, it's retrograding in Aquarius. Depending on what sign it's in, I like to see retrogrades as a time to regroup. It's like a time to rethink things, reorganize, kind of let things go. People are always going, ooh, Mercury retrograde, it's a bad thing. I liked, my logo is positive astrology. So how can we use all these cycles in the sky to benefit us? So a retrograde is go through your closets, clean things out, give things away. And then when it goes direct, you go, okay, I'm ready, now we can move forward. Yeah.
My RE word on retrograde is always repair. And so if I haven't done something, I've like let that slow leak go, then I'm going to have a flat tire. And I got hit this time. We're in it right now. So if you get this on the air, then we're
Don't
good.
feel bad if you have to redo things and repair things.
Repair, relax, rest.
Yes.
I always say these are also kind of, there's a lot of purging that can happen, like you said, cleaning out, reevaluating.
Yeah.
So this is happening every quarter.
3 times a year.
3 times
and
a
with
year.
the first one of 2015 is happening right now. The next one's going to be May and June. That one's going to be in Gemini, which is perfect time to go through your library, your books, emails, clear things up. The last one's going to be in September and October in Libra. Often Libra's about relationships. Relationships are beauty. Might be a good time to go through your closet or rearrange your paintings, or maybe paint something and say, I want to, I can have a turquoise wall, can't I? Yes, you sure can. Yeah. So Libra would be the time to look and kind of re-beautify your life.
Well, that'd be good right before Christmas too, and the holiday season, and
It's
so
true.
that you can clean out some things and make it new and allow new to come in.
Yes,
so
yeah.
that'll be good.
But the main thing is I want people to realize that a retrograde is not a bad thing. It's a time to regroup and to let things go in preparation for the new phase. And if we only clean out 3 times a year, that's not bad.
No,
I mean,
great.
I think we at least need that.
And
yeah.
I repair 3 times a year. Oh, great. Okay, so let's see. The next one, another retrograde that's happening is
Venus.
Venus.
Now, Venus only retrogrades once every a little longer than a year and a half, so it doesn't happen very often. And this one is coming up over here July, but it lasts longer. So you notice July through September, so it's a long one. And this one's going to be retrograding in Leo. So Venus, of course, is about beauty or about love, and retrograde is often looking at relationships in a variety of different ways, like a new take on things.
And because Leo is Leo, how would that kind of put the slant on that retrograde?
A little more dramatic. Leo's a fire sign, so it would be a sense of not really, doesn't have to be drama, but usually it's going to be a sense of excitement at least, because of the sign that it's retrograding in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you at the beginning of the show, it's very important to get a pen and pencil and some paper and write all this down. And it will be on YouTube. So you can go to KermieandtheAngels.com, click on the YouTube site, and we'll get it on YouTube right away. But this stuff is so important. I have referred back last year and year before. This is the 4th year Susie's been on. And people have just loved this show. So thank you so much.
Well, one other thing I wanted to mention, on my website, I've written an article called Preview of 2015. So that's where this information has come from, but I really turned it into an article instead of just, just bullets.
Yeah.
So people could read that in Preview of 2015 and see a lot more of information. Yeah.
Good. SusieCox.com. So that's where that is. Good. Thank you, Susie, for doing that. Because so many times people say, when was that? Is it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go with the eclipses.
Right. Well, there are 4 eclipses through a year, and there are 2 eclipse seasons. So if you notice, they're 2 weeks apart. There'll be a solar eclipse, 2 weeks later a lunar, 6 months after that a solar, and then a lunar. Just so happens that all these eclipses, none of them will be able to be seen in the United States. And so there are different places around the world, but we're not going to be able to have any eclipse parties this year. Okay. I love having, when there's a lunar eclipse, I love having an eclipse party and everybody go and kind of take a look at it, and it's not going to happen this year in this part of the states. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between solar and lunar eclipse? So like the effect that we may feel.
They're actually similar. Eclipses are when the light is being blocked. And when the solar eclipse, the sun is being blocked. And then when lunar eclipse, the light is being blocked from the moon. And I really think the eclipses are, the light is being blocked, so we have to go inside. So it's almost like a feeling of looking at things in a different kind of a way. Eclipses are a good time to regroup and to let things go. Similar to a retrograde. A little bit more dramatic, I would say. And things that if something needs to get taken away, often it'll get taken away during an eclipse. And at the time, it's not really fun. But later on, you go, okay, well, that wasn't meant to be. Yeah, so now definitely it affects a person more if it connects with your personal birth chart.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on these eclipses,
Right.
then
one's in Pisces, one's in Libra, one's in Virgo, one's in Aries. Yeah, so you know, if you're in Aries, that eclipse might affect you more than some of the other ones.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And interesting because one is close to my birthday. Uh-oh. Oh, no, it's all positive. Susie Cox says it's all positive.
My style of astrology is what I call proactive astrology. Instead of like, oh my God, there's an eclipse happening in my sign, what's going to happen? It's like, okay, there's an eclipse. What do I need to release? What do I need to let go of? So if we are in charge of it, that's going to be our eclipse experience. But if we're waiting and have fear around it, who knows what's going to happen? But like the same thing with transits, where the planets are in the sky. Mars comes up to your sun. A lot of people would say, ooh, you know, be careful of an accident, or this is a tough time for you. I like to see, say, Mars on your sun, maybe it's a time to clean out my shed. Maybe it's a time to go through my closets and get rid of things, or start with a trainer and start working out.
Because Mars is very
action oriented.
Yes,
so instead of having being afraid that Mars is going to come around, how can I use Mars?
Well, that's great.
How can I use these planets? And because they're our allies, they're here to help us out. They're not here to cause us problems.
Right. We can use all energy.
Absolutely.
Now, when we land the rover on Mars or a comet or something like that, does that shift anything, or does that make it connected to Earth by any way?
I think there's probably a consciousness. You know, we're looking at Mars, so everybody's focusing on it, but I don't really think it affects our lives, you know, too drastically.
So when we pick up dirt, and if we ever bring it back, like the moon, the moon rocks, does that have any effect because it's closer
I don't think
connected
so.
and
No. It's just the solar system and all the planets moving around. Now, we are all connected with each other, of course. That's how I think astrology works. It's not through magnetic and not through gravity. It's not through the known forces. But there's a unified field theory that we're all kind of connected with each other. They haven't proven that yet. You know, so, but I know that that's the way it works. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing that's happening is that's coming up too is your Chinese New Year.
That's
so
right.
That'll be interesting.
January 19th, that starts. Okay. And there are 12 different animals in the Chinese, but there are 5 different elements. So the sheep this year is the sheep. And the sheep are kind. They want to help people. There's a sense of caring. And there are 5 different elements in Eastern astrology. And so this one is the wood sheep. And rather than a fire, you know, fire would be much more aggressive or much more dramatic. This year, it's a wood sheep. So wood it's almost like earth. It kind of calms them down. So at least with the Chinese astrology, we should have a pretty good year. Next year, by the way, it's a fire monkey. Which is going to be a wild year. Yes, yeah. So I think we should enjoy the wood sheep because we're going to go into the fire monkey next year. It's like, you can imagine that jumping around and being, you know, aggressive, you know. So
monkey mind.
Monkey, I know.
Monkey
Mind. So let's be calm this year because we got a fire monkey next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh my gosh. Zen, the Buddhists, oh my gosh, they're just going to be like, what if the Chinese
It'll stimulate the monkey mind in all of us, that's
That'd
for
be
sure.
Because we'll get so many more ideas.
Yeah. Once again,
right?
there's always that'd be a good time to start new businesses or entrepreneurial or, you know, move and do something, you know, in a forward moving way. So all of the planets and all the signs and all the cycles are all for us to help us, really, so we can kind of be more in sync with the universal rhythms.
I would be so bored without all these changes. Okay, so here's some alignments. Tell us about these.
We've got some exciting things happening, and Venus and Mars are joining in the evening sky, and they're going to be joining exactly on February 22nd. But we can see them even now. They're both in the, and so what I do is right after sunset, I watch the sunset every single night, and then as soon as the sun sets, that's when the planets come out. And Venus is high in the sky now, really bright. A little bit above it is Mars. Mars is reddish, not as easy to see, but sure enough, they're going to be moving together, and they're going to join each other. Now, they don't have to join like this. It's not like, oh, they're right on top of each other. They can join and be the same degree and maybe be pretty far apart. Right. But one's going to pass, the other. It's like, it looks like Venus is going to be passing Mars, right? And
so when they pass, and then if Earth is also, that's a trine, when they're all in the same number?
Well, the trine is really between the planets.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, but they're conjunct, so they're really right next to each other. Now, Venus is art and music and beauty. Mars is action, so it's a great time to be creative and dynamic. Nice. It doesn't just have to be about romance. I mean, of course, that's nice too.
Okay.
The perfect time to get married is with Mars and Venus joining each other, so.
Okay, so February 22nd, if those who are wanting to get married in February, you might want to wait until after Mercury retrograde. Right. And right at the Chinese New Year, which is the 19th, and Mercury retrograde, I always wait a week before we're totally out of Mercury retrograde on all the effects. And so I thought, okay, the Chinese New Year would be perfect time to start new things. And
it's true. It's true. And then with that Mars and Venus, but I'm going to see them, I'm going to watch them every night. So I'm really encouraging people out there to go out at night right after the sunset and watch them. And do it right after the sun sets, because if you go out at 9 o'clock at night, all the stars are out and it's hard to see the planets. But the trick is the planets pop out first. So you watch the sunset and the planets are right out the first. Okay. And then they'll set pretty soon too. So you don't want to go out too late because they will have already set. Okay. And so you can't see them.
This big next one is Venus and Mars together.
Yes.
And then we've got Uranus square Pluto. Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Right, yeah. March 16th, this is the last of the seventh. This is the seventh square that Pluto and Uranus have been making to each other. Square is a red line. If anybody knows my style, red line, kind of challenging, 90 degrees between it, kind of a angle of conflict. Pluto is people in positions of power or bullies. Uranus is freedom. Uranus is, I want to make change. I want to do things in a new kind of a way. And it's really started out with the Arab Spring years ago, where Pluto would be dictators around the world. And Uranus is like using social media. I don't want this dictator to rule me. So there's a lot of freedom that's been happening. Nice. But I think at this last one, especially kind of what's happened in France and different situations, it's kind of cropping up its ugly little head before it gets solved. So and Pluto doesn't have to be someone that's threatening us. It could be inside of us. I want to make changes inside of me. How can I free myself? So it doesn't have to be around a dictator or somebody else. It can be us needing to free ourselves inside.
Even like a thought pattern that's been dictating for many years.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, this is good.
Yeah.
And so March 16th, that'll happen. Uranus is always interesting, too, because it's surprising.
Surprises.
And
it's a planet of surprises.
Like, oh, my gosh, look what happened.
Yeah. And surprise, freedom, independence, sudden change, doing things in a new way. Social media is perfect for Uranus. Electronics, computers, websites, all of that is Uranian.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Okay, so then we have Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and the Moon join in the eastern pre-dawn sky.
Pre-dawn sky, right before sunrise.
So it's pre-dawn is right when you see the first light on the horizon, like a very dim.
Before that.
Okay.
Before that. It's like a half an hour before sunrise.
Okay.
Or maybe an hour before sunrise, in the eastern sky.
Because there's this twilight that happens for about 45 minutes before the sunrise, and you just see a glimmer of
You can see it
light.
Even before that.
Okay, good.
I like to see kind of a dark sky, because once it gets a little bit lighter, almost towards the sunrise, then the planets kind of drop out. Yeah. So the time to watch planets are right after sunset in the western sky, right before sunrise in the eastern sky.
Okay, so those
are the two places to watch the planets. house. And this is going to be Venus, Mars, Jupiter. Venus is the brightest planet in the sky. Jupiter is next. Mars reddish, so it's great. And then the moon is going to be moving past all of those three planets between, October 6th to the 10th. And that'd be a great viewing party. People wanted to get up a little bit early and watch where the planets are in the eastern sky. It's like diamonds in the sky, absolutely diamonds in the sky.
And the moon, I wonder if it'll be a full moon or if it...
No. It's a full moon. Full moon is when it's overhead.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so that's going to be, the very last of the moon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting aspect. So what do you think will happen there with this combination?
Well, Venus and Mars are going to be with each other, and they're still going to be with each other at that time. So it's like art and music and starting new things. Jupiter can be success around that. So it's like starting a business relating to your creativity or projecting out into the world of something that you've kind of come up with inside. So Jupiter makes it real, and it makes it on a bigger kind of a level. Yeah.
This is the importance of having an astrological reading, is because you look at these things and then you can plan your events. And I've had a lot of people who do numerology as well, and they'll plan their events. But like say Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and the moon, my goodness, between those dates, those 4 days
are powerful. And because I did your chart last year. And of course, when you know your birth chart, you can see where these planets are, and you can see the specific part of your life that it is affecting, rather than just in the sky and it's a pretty thing to watch. So it's nice to know your astrology chart. It's like the blueprint of your life. So I think it's a good thing.
Do you do, I'm sure you do, but like say for the year, so if I come or somebody comes to you and says, I want to know what's happening, what are key events, I'm in a career that I need to know exactly what to do when, you just kind of say, well, this energy would be good here and that energy would be good. And
that's basically what I do. When you do an astrology chart, first thing you do your birth chart, which is your lifetime purpose. It shows your talents, it shows your challenges, is the overall purpose of your life. Then you overlay where the planets are today, called the transits, the transiting moving planets, and you can see when events, the likely time when events will occur. So people say, I want to open up a business, and I'm thinking over here in May and June. So I'll look up and say, oh, there's a new moon in June, and it connects with your sun. That'd be a perfect time to start something out. I mean, this is hypothetical, but astrology is a clock in the sky or a fancy calendar. So it shows when there are more opportune times to start things and then others. I do this a lot. I do it a lot for business people, politicians. When somebody announces they're going to be running for office, I basically look up the planets and I can see whether they're going to be successful or not. If you make your announcement on a Mercury retrograde, forget it. It's not going to happen. And you'd be surprised how many people make big launches on a Mercury retrograde. Is like, well, that's not going to work. So when you launch things, because it's the birth of that launch, whether it's a business or whether it's getting married or a variety of different timings. So that's the main thing that I do, is time things out for people.
Oh, that's great. I know a couple that got married on Mercury retrograde. I think it was an eclipse too. And where I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they thinking?
Yeah, I know. I used to look at that, I was like, oh, that's not a good sign.
I know. Astrology is so important. You really do need to know.
You want to be with the rhythm. You want to be with the good rhythm of the planets. You don't want to work against the cycle. And that's really what that's about.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's do another one. So here's another one. So Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are close in the morning in mid-October through mid-November.
So after the moon goes by, in that early time in October, Venus and Mars and Jupiter are the slower planets, and they spend time with each other through the rest of the month. So mid-October through November, you're going to have this triple conjunction. Conjunction is when planets join each other, and this is 3 of them that are joining each other at the same time.
Oh, that's
and they're going to be lasting all month. So it's a pretty lovely time.
It's going to be a great season,
yes.
isn't it? Susie, thank you so much for being here.
Are we done already?
We are. We've got to go, unfortunately.
Thank you, Kermie. You're awesome.
But we got it all in, which is really good. And
yay.
Go to susiecox.com and see if you forgot any of these things, and read everything that she's got. Thank you, Susie, so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
KermieandtheAngels.com. Bye.